Hey, welcome to the next video. We're going to be in the workshop this time. I decided to do something a little different. I'll take a little break from the layout, and I want to build a programming slash test track for my trains, all my locomotives. And I didn't put a programming track on my layout. I just didn't have room for it, so I need something that I can use on my workbench. And this is what I came up with. It looks pretty good. It's a little under 4 feet long. It's like 46 inches, something like that. That's the end result. It has HO and N scale track on it with re-railers and everything. So I'm going to show you how I built it, and so sit back and enjoy it, and hopefully it helps you. Maybe you need one, maybe you don't, but you know, let's see what happens. So, okay, so here we are again in the workshop. This is how we built the DCC test track. What I started with was a 1x4 PVC piece of lumber. It comes in 8-foot length. I bought it and I cut it down, and our length that I'm using, I think it should be long enough. I cut it to 44 inches. And then what I did was I cut blocks. These are the feet for the bottom. These are 2 inches wide. I just cut them off the top, and I use a Forstner bit to drill into here so that the screw heads will pass through and they'll sit flush below the surface in here. So you'll have one at each end, and one there, one in the middle. And then what I did with this one was I ran it through my table saw and I cut a notch in there. And then I measured at this far end over here, I measured in a 1/2 inch, I marked a 1/2 inch, and then I marked 3/4 of an inch. So the holes are you know, 3/4 are a 1/2 inch apart. And I did the same thing going this way. This is going to be a double track, so you'll do dual scale. And then what this does here is it sits on top like this. And these holes are going to be your contact pins when you put on you use alligator clips on the other side. These will go through like this. So let's go ahead and put this together so you can kind of see what goes on and what we did with it. So I'm going to flip this over. We're going to do the bottom side first. Okay, so we'll start at this far end, put all our blocks together. I don't want to get them confused. And then the other thing I did was these foot blocks. I did the same with all of these, and I have holes in here. So I'm going to set this on top, and then I'm going to use a hand screwdriver because we don't want the screws to blow all the way through the PVC. So I'm going to drill this part, screw this part way in, like that, and just fit it right into the hole that's there and drive it home. Put it the wrong way. Now the other thing I didn't mention, I've got this one on backwards. There is a right way that these go on. Okay. What I also did was I drilled holes in the ends of this right here that coincide with the big holes down at the bottom. They're a little closer together, but these are so the wiring can pass through this whole thing. So this is drilled on both sides so the wire will pass through. This one is just drilled on one side. It goes like that. So these holes on the side need to face the holes on the other side. So this goes this way. Okay, so those two are on. These make the feet that this stands on so that it's it's up off the table. Now at this end, it's a little bit different. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pass these, I have these 2.5 inch number 10 bolts. And we're going to put a washer on it. Now I also made the wiring for it. Now I have 4 pieces of wire, and they span the full length of this. I have red and white, so this will reach from here, and it reaches down past the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to run these underneath this way, put a washer, and then the wire, and then pass this through. We're going to pass that right there. Now we're going to push all these through like this. Then we're going to flip this over. And there's my other block. So we have this block that coincides with that. We're going to place this on top. And this holds this all together. Not using any glues or anything with this. Like that. And push all those up. Another washer on each. Okay. So this is what we end up with. We're going to let that sit for right now. Now we're going to take this piece that we cut. We're going to set this on top of here. Now, so that these pieces, these wires don't get all strangled up, all tied up and knotted elsewhere, we're going to pass this wire through here. Like that. So that goes like that. So now we have our wires passed through, and then these will end up in these holes down here. Like that. And then when we lay the track on top, the CA will hold up, we'll plug the wires into here with a little CA, and that'll keep them up and out of the way. Now on this top side, we're going to set this piece back on. I'm going to put this on right here. Okay, so now all that's left to do is to tie down the rest of these wires here. We'll start with the first red one. We're going to pull it tight, and this hole only goes about halfway through. So I'm going to cut this back to about right here. Like that. And then this will plug into this hole down here like this. And then I think I'm going to put a little bit of CA in there so that I know it's not going to come back out. We get a micro brush. And we're just going to take the micro brush and run the CA down the hole. like that. And then we'll plug this wire right in and pull it tight like that. And I'll just hold it there for a minute and let it dry. And then we just continue our way through. Okay, so that's that. So now we're pretty well done. The only thing left to do at this point is to lay the tracks down the top and put some foam pads on the ends here on the insides, and then we can use it. The only other thing that needs to get made, which I've already done, are these here. These are alligator clips with some leads on them, and then those will get used with this. So you would clip these here and here. Say I had an end scale track here, and then this other end, this other lead here, would hook up to my JMRI in my computer so that I can program my locomotives. So that's it. I'll come back in a little bit and we'll start doing the track on here, and I'll show you how it all works. Okay, so now it's time. We've done the wiring, we've got this all put together. I added some stuff down here the other day. I divided up the posts and I had some letters, more for me than anything else. But now it's time to add the track. So what I've got is got a re-railer and HO scale. I have an N scale re-railer, and I have a couple pieces of flex track. So what we're going to do, what I did so far was I measured in 3/16 of an inch from either edge here, and that's where these re-railers are going to line up. So I'll have a space like that on either side. We'll go like this. It leaves a nice reveal on each side, puts them far enough in. And then what I did was I measured the center of each of the re-railers, and then I measured the center of the whole thing so that these re-railers are lined up in the center. And that's what I've done so far. So now we're at the point where now I'm gonna glue this down to the board here, and I'm gonna use some CA glue, and I'm just gonna glue that down real quick. And then we'll sit this in. Now I just want to put my mark on the center of the re-railer to the centering mark on the thing, on my board. And we're going to set this into place. Like that. Just going to hold it for a few seconds to let that glue start setting up. Okay, now on this piece here I've got a couple of bits of plastic I just want to shave off. So now I can get my locomotives on here easily lined up, and I don't have to fiddle with them. So there's those are in now. Now we want to put the track in. I'm going to start with the HO. And I'm just going to set this on here. I'm going to put it right up to the edge here. I'm going to hold it out a little bit. And then alright, I'm going to get my rail cutters. And I need a marker. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit this on here like this. I'm just going to mark where it needs to get cut. Right there. So I have two marks right there. And I'm also going to cut off this tie that's right below that. I want this to be down in there tight, but I don't want the track to bend. Like that. So that'll go like that. And then what we'll do is I'm going to take a measurement from the edge here, the edge here, to the edge here, and we'll put another mark over here, maybe one in the center, so that we get a nice straight line of track across that. And now we'll cut the same at the other end. Alright, so then we're going to glue that down with CA as well. And then we're going to do the same thing on the end scale, so I'll be back when that side's done. Okay, so now all our tracks are on, as you can see. We've got them on, they're all glued down, everything's good, and it looks pretty good. The only thing I want to do now is just for looks, I want to put an extra tie in here, you know, another one here just to fill in the gaps. And at this end, unfortunately, I ran out of, this is all code 80 in the end scale, and the flex piece I got wasn't quite long enough, so I had to fill in with code 55. So I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to solder all these joints. So when I solder it, I'm going to lift it up a little higher so that it goes flush with the top. I could probably just crush down the joiner underneath and solder it to the top of the joiner. Maybe that's what we'll do. I'll do that, and then after I solder the rail joints, I'm going to do the ones on the two parts over here on the HO, and then the end scales here and here, here and here, and we'll take care of this little bit over here. So let me come back when that's done, and then we'll go on to the next part. Okay, so all the track is done, as you can see. Let me get a close up. All the everything's been soldered, everything's cut in the way it needs to be. The ties have been replaced, and you can see there it is. Okay, so now what I need to do is put on feeder wires so that we can power from, when I put the power clips from my JMRI from my computer, I can clip right to these posts here, okay, and the power from my setup will go through the posts and into the track. So now I've got a hook. We did these on an earlier, so now we've got to hook the track to these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a set of feeders to each piece of track, and we're going to hook into that main power line. So that means 1, 2, 3 on this track, and then because I have an extra piece, it would be 3 on this one, so this one's actually going to be 4. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4 on that one. And the only reason I'm doing it this way, normally you wouldn't need to because my joints are soldered and that should carry enough current, but I want to be sure that I'm getting enough current. So when I hook onto these, the power is going to feed from the lines underneath to each piece of track regardless of my solder joints. So, and only because it's a test track, this has to be right all the time. There's no questions about it. So that's the way I'm going to do this. It might be overkill, but that's just my insanity, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'll come back in a little bit. I'm going to make up all the feeder lines, and then I have to drill the holes. So I'll be back in a little bit and we'll start dropping the lines. Alright, so what I've got here is I cut a bunch of short lengths of wire. I don't know what gauge it is, but again, it's just what I happen to have. I don't know, I think it's 14, but I don't know. And what I did was I stripped off the end. I split it in half because the wire is obviously too heavy, I cut off a bunch of the wire, which I have a whole pile of here, and then I twisted it together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these points. I'm going to tin these up to make them solid. And then we're going to drill holes. So let's get these tinned up. Like that. Okay, and now what I need to do, I have all of these. Now we're going to pull the track back. I'm going to pull this back. And what I went and did is I have a drill bit here. Where are you? I have this drill bit. It's the same diameter as the wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill down between ties, like here and here. Probably like here and here. And the same in the center of this last one. And then we're going to drop the wires through. What we need to do with these ends here though first is we need to take these and let me back this up. I'm going to take these, I'm going to go back about 1/8 of an inch or so. I'm going to crush it and bend it like that. So now we have a flat piece on the end. You can see that. It's nice and flat. So that will sit in the web. And I have to do that with all of these. Like that. Alright, let me get my drill and then we'll put the holes in the board. Alright, so now the holes are drilled. I have a whole bunch of shavings on here. But now the holes are drilled. I just want to clean up the hole just a little bit. There it is. Just want to clean up the shavings that came up from that. Get those all out of there. Okay. Now we want to follow the same colors as underneath. So red is on the outside, white's on the inside. So we're going to drop this down in the hole. Red. Okay, so all the holes, the wires are in the hole. So now I'm going to pull this down like this, all the way down. And we're going to twist it around. So what we've got is this. And we just got to turn that around so that it's facing into the web of the rail, like that. And the same with this other one. Like that. Like that. And we do that for all 3 sets. Okay, so now we're just going to go in and solder these joints to the rails. I got some more liquid flux, I'll put some of that on there. So what I'm doing now is I'm just pushing this in to make sure it's making a good contact. Alright, so that's pretty much done now. I went ahead, I ran out of camera batteries, so while the battery was charging, I went ahead and did the underneath. We dropped all the feeders through. They're all soldered all the way across both tracks. And then on this side, I used suitcase connectors, and I just connected all the wires together. And then I used a zip tie here just to tighten everything up, top, bottom. And that should be it. I also added, I didn't think I mentioned this, but I added some felt pads from Home Depot on here so I can put it anywhere and it's not going to scratch anything. So the next thing now is just to test it. So let me get a power supply and we'll hook it on there and make sure it all works. Okay, so now we're going to test the locomotive, make sure it works and our tracks are all good. So what I have is I have a DC power supply just because I still have to install the stuff on my computer, but I just want to check just to make sure it works. So I have alligator clips coming over to the posts, red one, and a white one. Okay, and let's see what we get. So we can go in that direction and it all works. And that's it. So there you go, it all works. All done, it's complete. I also added foam pads to each end here so that when the locomotive taps each end, there's nothing hard for it to hit. And that's it. We're all set. I tied up the wires underneath. Put a couple zip ties. I got one here and one here just to keep everything tight and away from the edges. And it all seems to be pretty good for right now. And that's the whole process. It is now done. So thanks for watching, and visit my website if you want to see more. Mike'sTrains.wordpress.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye.